So, have you ever wondered what that small corner store, convenience store, grocery store in your neighborhood actually makes? I ran a grocery store very similar to one in your neighborhood for 8 years, and I'm still a part owner of a bigger chain that I'm a silent investor in. But I really want to break down the true numbers that I saw over the 8 years of running the store. I'm not sure what that is, but thank you. I do talk with my hands a lot. So I'll show you the revenue, what was left over, and the true expenses. Trust me, it's not as glamorous as you think it is. Quick rundown of my store if you're new to this channel. I ran it for 8 years in the Windsor, Ontario area. I ran out of 1,600 square feet in a pretty affluent area, and our mission pretty much was local quality fruits and vegetables and local quality products. That was our main mission, adding a personal service to grocery, making it quick, convenient to get all of your groceries done, with owners on site who actually cared about the customer and the product they were selling. So I'm going to be honest with you. Basically, we started with very little savings and a business loan. And slowly over those 8 years, we nickeled and dimed and paid that all off, and actually turned a little bit of a profit after 1 or 2 years. It was very hard. We struggled for the first year or two. We actually broke even our first year, which is a crazy feat to achieve when you are just starting a new business in the food industry. And the second year, we started making actual profit and we're able to pay ourselves a little bit. Yeah, so I will always be in the small business world. I'm currently running another small business, a content marketing agency for small business owners. My email is in the link down below if you ever like to work with me. I'd love to help you on your journey. And on this channel, I'm always as transparent as possible. I've talked about my numbers openly. I've talked about our profit openly over the years. I've talked about, how we barely made any money the first year personally. We broke even. And I will reveal the top line revenue of the entire business over the 8 years. I really have no issue hiding that. I feel money should be discussed more. I feel that money is seen as a taboo subject to talk about for some reason. And that's why employers control their staff members, because you're not allowed to talk about money, and people grow up not being able to talk about money. So I think this channel's always built around the discussion of money and wealth and building wealth and financial freedom, which I have a small taste of now. Hopefully it keeps going. But money is supposed to be talked about. The people who have money discuss money. They sit down and talk about how to make more money. They sit down about, how to build their wealth, how to find financial freedom, because money is just a tool for more freedom. I don't use money for material objects. There's certain things, I like to spend on, but I'm not someone who buys into the consumerism that has plagued this country, where you just keep buying and buying, so you keep working like a rat forever. My channel is to show you that we should be talking about money more. And I'm not trying to sound cocky. I'm not a rich guy. I'm a comfortable guy. But money should be discussed more, because everyone would be, I think, a little bit more open to being able to build their wealth if they talk to people who have already done it, such as why this channel exists for grocery store, retail, or small business owners, so you can see what I went through, so you can learn from my mistakes. That's where we're at. Not everything has to be hidden in hush hush. I don't judge people for the amount of money they have. I judge people who are, fake and pretend they have money, or they make a million excuses on why they can't get out of situations. I feel proud when people go from the bottom to the top, like people who came as, from nothing, and all of a sudden they have successful businesses. That's what, my aim is to be. I was never a rich guy. I didn't go from rags to riches. I was a normal kid, My father was a barber, always self-employed. My mom's a secretary. And guess what? You know, every generation should be doing better than the previous. Make your parents proud. I'm not trying to say money is everything, just money is important and it should be discussed more. That was my rant, my tangent that I went on for this channel. Our store is one of those stores where you know everyone's name that comes in. Your regulars support your store and they are 80% of your business. The other 20% are people just coming in for a quick thing or to check you out, or maybe they're just in the area. But it was a personalized grocery store. There was a trust to it. We got to know pretty much every customer that came in after a while. And we ran the store, pretty much two of us with one part-timer. I wouldn't have it any other way in such a small store. There isn't too much left over to be paying multiple staff members for many reasons. So how it started, we started with basically nothing. We had a few small tables of fruits and vegetables. We slowly added a small IKEA shelf, another small IKEA shelf, until we had about 20 of these things all around the store along our main produce shelving. Slowly we upgraded from those shelves to metro shelving, which is those steel racks that you probably see all over the place. Those can hold a ton of inventory. I suggest if you're just starting, start with those. Don't bother with these. These are very cheap looking and flimsy. But yeah, that's how it started. We started with fruits and vegetables. Then we contacted artisans in the area. You know, we took on a local honey, took on a local kombucha, took on a local, lettuce. Then we started with exotic snacks from a local vendor. Then we started with local tomato sauce that we first started with a restaurant. Then we made our own. Then we started with frozen foods from a restaurant. Then we started with frozen pizzas. Slowly, we pieced the store together. And I would say we had a great success the last 3-4 years of it, and ended up selling it for a nice chunk of change, which brings me to be able to make these videos like this. So I can't say that I feel like I failed with this store. I feel like we exited at the time we wanted. We have a baby on the way, and we wouldn't be able to run a store like that and raise a baby unless it was going to live in the back room and chop peppers with me for, its whole life, which I've seen that word from many other places, but that's not really what the life I wanted to give to the future baby. So here's the expenses that you will see if you ever open a small business, retail, grocery, or even any brick and mortar. Your main huge expense is rent. All in all, I was paying about $3,500 a month in rent. That included my maintenance fees for, snow removal, roof repair, common hallway cleanup, garbage disposal. All that is under maintenance fees. They might call it, I don't know, TM. They have a few different acronyms I've seen around. But anyways, maintenance fees, we'll call it. That included our taxes every month. And yeah, that was our big expense, $3,500. Next, one that I didn't realize how much would start adding up as we added more and more coolers to our store, more and more freezers, our hydro bill. And I'm going to tell you, our gas bill was nothing compared to our hydro bill. We had a lot of coolers, freezers, a walk-in cooler, pretty much the size of this room that I'm in. That bill was about $1,000 a month on average. Did not expect that bill. So keep that in mind. Grocery has a lot of hydro being used. Gas, unless you're doing a lot of cooking or using the heat, might not be much of a bill. I would say we probably spent $50 to $60 a month on gas. And water as well. It wasn't a big expense for us. Inventory. Constantly buying inventory was a crazy expense. You constantly have to keep the shelves full. I'm telling you, the main thing, if you are opening a store, make sure your shelves are full. Even if it looks like you have to put things in multiple spots, people do not shop at empty stores. One, it looks like you're going broke. Two, people want options. That's how we are trained to shop in this country. And three, if you don't have things, people can't buy them. Therefore, you don't make profit. Keep the store full. It's more of a psychological thing than anything, which has a counterpoint to it. The more inventory you have, the more food waste you have. With fresh food, be prepared to throw a lot away. Unfortunately, there's only so much you can repurpose into other foods, and there's only so much you can donate until you have full-on expired food waste, things that are just not edible. Food waste was a huge expense. And then there's the inventory that you thought would sell, but it ends up sitting on the shelf. That's another thing. You always have to be trying new things to keep people interested. And sometimes they work and sometimes they don't. So that's another thing. You have to start discounting when you start seeing them come up to close to expiry. It is a science. I mean, you don't think how difficult this business would be until you start it. It is a true business that you have to be on top of every little thing. And it's so many low ticket items that, it can drive you absolutely crazy. Keep that in mind. The other thing is staff wages. Now, I know we didn't really work with much staff in our small store, but you have to live on something. So you have to pay yourself something. So I'll be honest with you, for the first year, we made zero personally. For the second and third year, we started being able to take minimum wage. We never had to do groceries, so that's always nice. And there's obviously some perks that come with having a small business that you'll understand once you start. But I would say the fourth and fifth year, we actually started paying ourselves maybe $50,000 each. And then after that, Felicia became a real estate agent, so she didn't take too much from the store anymore. It didn't make sense. And my wage was closer to 60. That's probably where it capped. 60,000, 65,000 for me, and about 35,000 for her. That's where we were for a little while until we sold. Yeah, that would obviously go down a lot if we had staff members, right? And we had a part-timer who, was probably just making the minimum wage around Ontario was $17 an hour. So add a few part-timers and your personal salary will dwindle very, very quick. So unless your store is very, very busy or you have a large store that has a high volume of turnover and sales, then you can expect to make something similar to what I was making. I would say if your store is successful, be prepared to take home between 50 to 70,000 on good years. And then bad years, you might not be making anything. It varies crazy. It varies wildly, right? COVID, and then everything got expensive, and then tariffs in Canada. You are affected by everything in this business. And trust me, price point, you will never be able to compete with the big stores. So as soon as people start budgeting, all your expensive fancy cheeses and jars, those really stop selling quick. I'm going off on a tangent. I could talk about this business all day, but let's stick to the expenses. And then you have your extra surprises, your marketing, your constant repairs of coolers. Marketing, obviously, I did myself. I do it for a few other stores in my area. If you have a business, I'd love to help you. So marketing, no, that wasn't my expense. I took care of that. But people pay for marketing. There's no time to do your own marketing if you really want to run your own small business. Internet, phone, that stuff adds up. This is all stuff that comes off your top line revenue or your profit. Forget about your top line revenue. You have to pay no matter what, no matter if you're busy or not. So yeah, your POS system, we were paying like $200 a month for that. And I'm going to be honest, there's lots of other miscellaneous fees that come up, repairs, refunds if needed, donations. You will get probably 5 to 6 donations every few days from people asking for money. They don't care about your store. They just want donations. People would come in our store. How can you donate to this charity? And we would be like, yes, we can donate to this charity. And they didn't walk out, never buy a thing. And they'd walk out, see you next year. She'd say, unbelievable. If you're going into a store asking for a donation, just buy something. Spend $2, $3 just so it looks like you kind of care. I know you have to hit up multiple businesses with your charity, but honestly, it really feels like shit as a small business owner when you're constantly paraded by people asking for donations that don't care about your store at all. And there's going to be a slew of other expenses that you guys will see. I won't get into every little one. Just know that rent, utilities, staffing is going to be huge. Those are the top three. And then constantly buying inventory and dealing with waste. Those are the top 3 or 4 that you really have to worry about. The others, they'll pile in on their own, the miscellaneous charges, and they don't end either. Okay, so the final numbers. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm averaging this out year over year. We had some good years and some bad years. We averaged about 500,000 to 550 each year in total sales. So you can say over the 8 years the store was open, you can comfortably say that the store turned over about 4 to 4.5 million in sales. It's a small store, guys. Don't judge it so hard. It's our first business. There was 2 people running it. We lived a comfortable living. It was simple yet difficult. Does that make sense? It was simple but not easy, because thinking about it, you were buying things low and selling them high, but it was hard because of the long hours, the constant dealing with low ticket items. The profit margins are, seem high. They're 40% gross profit margins, but when you take every expense known to mankind down, it really boils down to not even close to 40 anymore. So about 4.5 million in total revenue, top line revenue. And a lot of people will ask, what was the profit off the 500,000 per year? Do the math, right? Felicia took 30, I took 70. We took about 100 home off of the total sales of the store. So, our profit was our salary. So, it's owner-operated business, right? Everybody thinks you can run these businesses with multiple staff members, but I'm telling you, unless the owner's there, it will not work. I'm going to get comments that, the store didn't do enough in sales, or, it doesn't make sense that you guys didn't hire people. It would have grown more, blah, blah, blah. Okay? If you didn't do it, if you haven't done it, you don't know. And sometimes I'm harsh with people like that, and people have millions of ways to do things better than you will when you start your business. I'm telling you, when you start your business, go ahead and start it. There's going to be 100 people telling you you're doing it wrong. There's going to be another 100 people telling you to do it this way. There's going to be another 100 people that are telling you they're going to open up one the same way and it's going to be busier. So the people that do are the ones that can talk. The people that just say they're going to do something, it's an idea. They have no idea, really. They just have the idea. So, yeah, this thing almost tipped. So keep that in mind, okay? Yes, we lived a comfortable living from a store that did about 500,000 in sales a year. And that's pretty much it. Break it down per month, was probably 40 to 45,000 a month. What can what are we going to do at this point? This was numbers. It was our first business. We learned a lot from this business. We left even more comfortable than we started. I take that as a win. Okay? I hope this helped you see the reality that top line revenue means nothing. Because if I was doing 500,000 in my pocket every year, I probably would be either still running that store or a multimillionaire who sold this thing for a few $1 million, right? Anyways, the reality is, business is hard. Small business is even harder. The food industry is probably the hardest, and that's why it has a failure rate of, 1 in 10, or whatever they say, or 75% fail in their first year. There's a million different stats out there, but I like to keep it transparent on this channel. That's why I made this video. Okay, I'm gonna wrap this up, guys. It's very late here. I just wanted to run down my final, how much money my store made over the years. This is the final number. I guess there won't be any more sales coming in as we sold the business. But yeah, maybe you guys can share your thoughts on this one. Have a good night.